team. None of these people on ESPN have to be around the locker room. And for you to be the coach and supposed to be the leader, and I would like a pat on the back. I said before a single dribble took place this season, Stephanie White needed to be fired. And all she does is continue to make me look great. I've been calling this out for a really long time, guys. I'm sorry that it took something this terrible for you to finally catch my drift. But yeah.
A first-round WNBA playoff game between the Indiana Fever and Connecticut Sun turned into the center of a media storm after a hard foul during a fast break. Sun forward Dejounte Carrington was called for a flagrant foul too and ejected after making contact with Fever guard Sophie Cunningham while contesting a transition layup. Replay reviewers and broadcasters watching the play agreed the contact was severe enough to warrant the highest-level foul and immediate ejection, noting Carrington appeared to lunge at the shot rather than time a legitimate jump to block it.
I don't think that Stephanie White can recover from this. This is the second time you went out of your way to defend someone else in another jersey. You went out of your way to defend Alyssa Thomas and make her the victim. And you're 1,000% right, Jason. None of these people get to play victim unless there are figureheads and people that run to the camera to defend them and allow them to be the victim. And I don't think Stephanie White.
Carrington drew additional criticism after posting comments on social media following her ejection, which some observers argued violated a provision in the league's current collective bargaining agreement, restricting phone use by players removed from a game. Critics said the post read as an accusation that officials had treated her unfairly, a claim they considered inappropriate given the circumstances. Fever head coach Stephanie White faced her own wave of criticism for her post-game comments.
To defend them and allow them to be the victim. And I don't think Stephanie White can recover from this. She looks worse than Andrea Carter and Monica McNutt case. And I'm not surprised about DiJonai Carrington. I mean, we're talking about a girl who her whole relationship unfolded on a Stud Bud live stream in the middle of a nightclub. Like, well, I'm not surprised with anything DiJonai Carrington does. I'm not surprised that Kathy Engelbert probably won't even suspend her for tomorrow's game. But Stephanie White, I don't think you can gain the locker room back. Did you?
Rather than focusing on her own player, Cunningham, who absorbed the foul, White's remarks were seen by several commentators as sympathetic toward Carrington. Commentators pointed out this was not the first time White had been seen defending a player from an opposing team. She had previously been criticized for comments perceived as favorable toward Connecticut's Alyssa Thomas in an earlier incident. On sports talk shows, commentators split over who deserved more blame or punishment.
Tomorrow's game, but Stephanie White, I don't think you can gain the locker room back. Did you see the way Caitlin Clark and Michaela Timpson were looking while she was answering these things?
I certainly did. Charles, who looks the worst here?
Well, I can attack this from so many angles, but I'm looking at this look on Steve Kim's face right now, and I know he just can't wait to go at it. You know, really, we having all this because a lady got fired. That's why I don't watch the WNBA. I can hear you. I'm sorry, Steve. I had to get that out. But hey, the only person who really looks bad in this whole equation to me is DiJonai Carrington.
Some argued Carrington should face a suspension over her social media conduct rather than the foul itself, citing precedent that flagrant fouls don't typically draw extra suspensions beyond ejection. Others argued the coach's comments were the bigger issue, with one pundit going so far as to call it a fireable offense and question whether White could regain her locker room's trust, citing visible reactions from players such as Caitlin Clark on the sideline. Additional criticism was directed at WNBA beat reporters, with some commentators arguing that credentialed media covering the league had grown reluctant to ask tough questions of teams and coaches for fear of losing access, pointing to an incident in which a reporter's credential was reportedly pulled by the Fever organization after asking pointed questions.
But hey, the only person who really looks bad in this whole equation to me is DiJonai Carrington. You look. Here's one thing that every athlete knows, especially basketball players. You know when you can make that play and you can't. You know that. And Sophie Cunningham is in transition. She's going up there. You cannot make that play, DiJonai, unless you're about 6'4", 6'5", and athletic with a 35-inch vertical. You can't get there, and it's obvious. And And you don't even jump, you lunge.
Thank you.
But
Thank you. I wish I had thought of that word.
The discussion also touched on a separate, unrelated incident involving forward Dearica Hamby, with commentators debating whether her conduct or White's comments were more deserving of league discipline. Opinions were divided, with some panelists favoring a coaching change over a player suspension, and vice versa. Note: much of the reaction described above, including characterizations of motives, comparisons to other athletes, and personal remarks about players' backgrounds, reflects the opinions of individual commentators rather than confirmed facts, and is attributed accordingly.
you don't even jump, you lunge.
Thank you.
But
Thank you. I wish I had thought of that word and that difference, but that is exactly it, Charles. She lunged. She did not jump. Great point.
yes, she doesn't jump, she lunged. Now, a bunch of things can be true. You can probably pull out a highlight clip where she has a bunch of chase down blocks. She was not going to block that shot. She had no chance. She couldn't even time it right. She had to lunge at it. And here's what should happen. Here's the bad part about it. It's a flagrant two. They looked at it.
Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White has drawn criticism after remarks she made following a hard foul by Sophie Cunningham on DJ Carrington. White characterized the play as physical rather than intentional, stating that Cunningham is simply an aggressive competitor rather than a player who targets opponents. That response has fueled a broader argument that White consistently avoids standing behind her own roster when controversy arises.
But here's what should happen. Here's the bad part about it. It's a flagrant two. They looked at it. I mean, I knew it before they finished looking at it on the camera. The announcers even knew it. No, this is a flagrant two. It's a flagrant two. Fine. Learn from Sophie Cunningham. Take your ball and go home. It's a flagrant two. You did it. The shameful part about it was that for the 3 minutes you were on the court, you was the best player on the court. Your team was already down your best player. They needed you out there. Y'all could have won the game. You cost your team a game. Your coach should be more pissed off than anybody if you won.
Observers point to a pattern. Rather than defending players when incidents draw public scrutiny, White tends to downplay the situation and shift focus elsewhere. Critics describe this as one of the clearest markers of weak leadership, an unwillingness to accept accountability for decisions or to publicly support the people under her direction.
Could have won the game. You cost your team a game. Your coach should be more pissed off than anybody if you want to know the truth about it. But what should happen now is you shouldn't get suspended a game before the foul because precedent shows you don't get suspended an extra game for a flagrant two. You should get suspended for that tweet because it's detrimental to the league. And that's where the league needs to step up because that's the same as saying, well, the referees just cheated us out there. The referees are out there cheating. No, you wouldn't allow that. You can't allow that tweet.
Oh, perfect.
And there's a rule in the CBA.
In any organization built around drawing in and retaining an audience, alienating that audience is viewed as especially damaging. For a professional sports franchise, and specifically for the Indiana Fever, turning against supporters is considered a serious misstep, since fan engagement is central to the league's business model.
Most obvious traits of a terrible leader: not taking any responsibility for your actions. And in a business that requires people to consume and be a customer, one of the other worst things you can do as an organization, in this case as a league and as a team, Indiana Fever.
This is not viewed as an isolated incident. Earlier, when addressing criticism related to Alyssa Thomas, White made comments widely interpreted as dismissive toward a large share of the fan base, effectively telling a majority of critics to reconsider their engagement with the team altogether.
Is blame your fans. The fans are the problem. Now, she's already, when she defended Alyssa Thomas, she told 65% of the fandom, go look up election numbers. Oh, yeah, I said it. She told 65% of the fans.
That moment is cited as evidence of a recurring unwillingness to acknowledge legitimate fan concerns. Some commentators note that their continued coverage of the team is tied to professional obligations covering multiple sports leagues, rather than genuine enthusiasm, and argue that without that obligation, this kind of conduct from a coach would cost the team viewership entirely.
Fans to get out. We don't want you as fans. And I won't lie to you. If I was not covering this league now in part for a living, I cover a lot of different sports, but this has become a job. If it was not for that, they would have gotten not a single solitary extra minute out of me at all. But then I got to thinking.
At the same time, there's an acknowledgement that public friction can cut both ways. Some viewers may keep watching specifically to see how the situation unfolds, even if they're critical of how it's being handled. A recurring theme in the criticism is White's framing that outside commentary and media coverage are attempting to create division within the team's locker room.
Oh, well, if I rub Stephanie White this wrong, if the new fans rub her this wrong, oh, you're not getting me out of this for nothing. You're not getting me out of this for nothing. I'm at the point I will watch to spite you, Stephanie White. And the fact that she takes zero responsibility and does people are trying to divide us.
Detractors argue this framing gets the causation backwards. A coach who fails to publicly support her players is the one creating internal division, not journalists or fans discussing the incident. According to this argument, media coverage alone does not fracture team chemistry. A perceived lack of institutional support does.
In our locker room, when you don't have your team's back, you are dividing your locker room. She could be one of the worst leaders I have ever seen in sports. And I cover a lot of different sports. Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're not going to ever minimize it. Nothing that any one of us does is ever going to we're going to please everyone all the time. I hope that the biggest thing.
White, for her part, has spoken about the importance of being responsive rather than reactive, particularly for players who are younger or less accustomed to constant public scrutiny. She has emphasized that reacting to every piece of outside commentary can be counterproductive, and has praised her team's internal culture, describing a locker room where players support one another and keep outside noise from affecting team dynamics.
That we learn is how to be responsive instead of reactive. In certain situations, I think it's really easy, and especially for young people or for those who aren't in it every day, to react to everything that happens. It's also dangerous, to react to everything that happens. But I think just from a humanistic perspective and life lesson perspective, I think our group does a really good job of responding. I think our group does a really good job of pouring into one another.
She framed this as valuable not just athletically, but as a broader life lesson about handling adversity and public criticism. Critics remain unconvinced, arguing that framing all outside criticism as an attempt at
keeping the main thing of understanding that there are a lot of folks out there who want to divide us, that there are a lot of folks out there who want to create more challenges for us, and in our locker room we do a really good job of keeping that outside the locker room, and pulling for one another. I mean, you guys see it, the vibes are always pretty good in here. I'm proud of them for that, and I think outside of even just the sport and outside of the job, it serves great life lessons for us as well. Yeah, I mean, look,
They point to visible player reactions during the incident in question, describing them as clearly unhappy, as evidence that internal team morale was already affected, independent of any outside commentary. The broader argument being made is a business one. Regardless of coaching credentials or on-court success, alienating a franchise's supporter base is seen as a fundamental risk to any organization, sports or otherwise.
Person is absolutely unbelievable. And by the way, we'll get to DiJonae Carrington in a minute. Acting like she is smarter than everybody else. Oh, this league's got a lot of problems. It is everybody else's fault. Right here, I posted this just a few minutes ago. Everybody else is the problem. Not me, not me. Everybody.
Commentators drew a comparison to instances in the entertainment industry, specifically referencing how the Walt Disney Company faced significant fan backlash roughly 6 years ago after perceived dismissiveness toward its audience, an episode some critics linked to underperformance in projects since then, including entries in the Star Wars franchise. The comparison is used to argue that no organization, regardless of its stature or track record, is immune to consequences when it appears to turn against the people who support it.